Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this year's tropical update for June 25th. We are watching multiple areas of interest today. Among them is an area in the Gulf of Mexico and an area in the Eastern Pacific. We won't talk about the one in the Eastern Pacific because there's no threat to land. The one in the Gulf of Mexico could form off the coast of Texas and Louisiana and thus be a threat to American land, which, of course, is kind of the main focus of these episodes. We have Invest 94L located over the central Atlantic today, and that will be making its way towards the Lesser Antilles and then into the Caribbean Sea. Off the page here, about at 110 degrees west near Mexico, is what's left of a very ragged tropical storm, Celia. It never became a hurricane after all of that. Let's begin first with the area of interest in the Gulf of Mexico. National Hurricane Center giving it a 20% chance of formation. I talked about this a little bit a few days ago when we were looking at some of the models. There's not a huge amount of model support for this one, but nonetheless, I still am mentioning it. The Hurricane Center is mentioning it. 20% is probably about right for the chance of formation of this. Maybe 30, but not too big. So we'll see what happens. If it develops, could become a brief tropical storm and make landfall. So that's worth noting. But again, at this point, way too early to tell if a brief system is going to form or not. Nonetheless, something to keep an eye on. Invest 94L located over the central Atlantic, as we have been talking about for the past several days now. National Hurricane Center up to 60% odds of formation within the next 5 days. It continues to be organized. It's going to make its way, like I said, towards the Lesser Antilles, probably somewhere between Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago is where it'll shoot that gap, which I'll move my cursor. Somewhere around here is where I'm expecting it to head. Might be a push to the south. It kind of depends how quickly this develops. I talked about that a bit yesterday. Then probably north of the ABC Islands. Those are located here, north of Venezuela as well. And make its way off over here, off the map here, to Nicaragua is my current guess, and the models would guess that as well. So let's take a look at some of those. Here's the GFS model, bringing the storm generally to the south as a tropical storm, perhaps as a hurricane later on once it reaches the eastern Caribbean Sea. And then it makes its way towards Nicaragua, makes landfall there, and I would presume after that, that's the end of this storm's life. But there is potential for a turn northward. If the storm is a bit slower or strengthens a bit quicker, it could turn north and not hit Nicaragua and shoot the gap between Jamaica and Nicaragua and Honduras. And from there, who knows what could happen with it. But again, a lot to still be ironed out with this storm, and there's still a lot, to do. Also, potential that it's not this tropical wave, it's the one behind it, and we can see that on the model, both the GFS and the European. 7 days from now, it has a low over the Lesser Antilles once again, and that could mean that there's another storm behind this one that wants to try to form. And so we'll keep an eye on that. As I mentioned, the Hispaniola in Jamaica are not out of play. I mean, it could go a bit to the north of Nicaragua when it reaches there in about 6, 7, 8 days from now. When it reaches Nicaragua, it could go to the north. If it goes to the north, it's a whole different ballgame of the potential future of this system. And so we'll continue to watch that as 94L begins to develop. How far north or south it forms has a big impact on how far north or south it goes later on. And so, it's the butterfly effect in real life. So that's kind of what we're dealing with here. As we see the spaghetti models all over the place today, but still fairly consolidated through about 72 or 96 hours. After that, you have anywhere from it diving south into Costa Rica eventually, or again going north of Nicaragua and Honduras and shooting the gap potentially into the Gulf of Mexico later on. The models do bring this storm to Category 1 strength 5 days from now. So 5 days from now, this thing's located in the Caribbean Sea, not necessarily inland. But 96 hours from now, when it's near the Lesser Antilles, 72 to 96 hours from now, it's definitely a decently organized tropical storm. So that's what the models are saying. We'll see what happens. The next 48 hours will be pivotal to us deciding what the future of this storm will be. So, again, a lot to talk about. Threats to the U.S., threats to the Lesser Antilles and other land areas with 94L, with a long future ahead of it that we'll be talking about for several days. In the meantime, we also have to talk about that area of interest with potential impacts to Texas and Louisiana. That's all for now. Chris Dixon for their Catholic Media.